Hi everyone, I'm Pedro and I'm back with some more tips to help you with your IELTS. In this video, we're going to be looking at IELTS Writing Part 1, focusing particularly on what to do if the question asks you to describe a process. So just a quick reminder that in IELTS Writing Part 1, you'll be asked to describe a piece of visual information in your own words. You could be given line graphs, bar charts, tables or pie charts and asked to describe the facts and figures that you see. You might also be provided with a diagram of a machine or a process and tasked with explaining how it works. You could also get a map from which you will have to describe any changes that you see. For IELTS Writing Part 1, you'll need to write at least 150 words in about 20 minutes. You should be able to answer this question in 3 paragraphs, an introduction and 2 main paragraphs. As in other Writing Part 1 questions, paraphrase the question for your introduction, and for the main body, write 1 paragraph giving an overview of the process and then another paragraph describing the process in more detail. So as I already mentioned, in Task 1 of the IELTS Writing, you may have to describe a process. The pictures are connected by arrows, and there are often labels that explain what the pictures are. The type of process you'll need to write about can vary, so you could get a man-made process, like how pencils are made, or a natural process, such as the life cycle of a frog. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is read the question. The first part of the question will give you a brief description of the diagram, so you know what the context is. Use this brief description for your introduction, but remember to use your own words rather than copying the exact wording of the question. The second part of the question is exactly the same as any other question in Writing Part 1. The question tells you to select the main features and compare anything relevant. That means when writing, you do not need to go into huge detail and minor information can be left out. Now look at the diagram, as you need to make sure that you understand what is in front of you before you start writing. Does the diagram have a clear start and end? Are the stages linear, or does it include alternative stages? Does it show 2 processes with one following another? Or is it cyclical, with no real beginning or end? Is it a man-made process or a natural one? Knowing what the diagram shows you is important, as it will influence the language you will use in your writing. So process questions will need different language to questions about line graphs and charts. Instead of talking about numbers and trends, you'll need to use language that describes the order, cause and effect, and purpose of different stages. This means you'll need to use sequencing language such as to begin with, while, the next step, and in the end, and express cause and effect and purpose by using phrases like as a result, which results in, so that, and X is done to produce Y. Keep in mind that if you're faced with a cyclical process, there is no clear starting point, so you'll have to choose a logical place to start. This means there'll be some sequences that you will not need to use, for example, first, second, or in the end. You'll need to be aware of the grammar that you use. For process questions, you'll usually need to use present tenses. This is because what you're describing is a fact. This is always the process that happens. Knowing whether the process is man-made or natural will also influence the grammar that you use. A man-made process will require mostly passive verb forms, as the people doing the actions are not as important as the actions themselves. For example, the bricks are placed in a drying oven sounds better than people place the bricks in the drying oven. The people who do this action are not important for us to know. Focus on the action itself. The people who do these actions are not important for us to know. Focus on the action. A natural process will use more active verb forms, as you will be describing what the subject of the diagram does at different stages. For example, if you have a diagram showing the life cycle of a butterfly, you might start the process by saying that a butterfly lays an egg. Here we focus on the butterfly doing an action rather than something happening to the butterfly. Once you've analysed the question and the diagram, you can begin writing your essay. But remember, don't give any opinions about the process. Just write what you see. And that brings this video to a close. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I hope it's been useful, good luck with your studies, and see you in the next video.